Evening, JPod. It's me, Mr. Mustapheles, coming to you live again from Athelston's outdoor area, better known as a backyard. Tonight we'll be looking at how Athelston makes something called a traditional damper bread roll thing. Georgia talked to him about it when she was telling him about the video she filmed for campfire making. So he thought it would be a good idea to show you guys how to make something on a campfire that he totally knows how to do on his own. We'll be using Athelston's mum's fire barrel, and we will be looking at the different ways that this could definitely go right. Totally nothing goes wrong. To begin, we will add 2 cups of sulfurated flour to a bowl and drop in or crumble in about 10 to 15 grams of butter. Into that we'll add half a teaspoon to about a teaspoon of salt, depending on your taste buds. We'll give that a good mix through so that it's nice and combined throughout the flour. And then follow that up with adding half a cup of full cream milk and a quarter cup of water. Make sure to have some leftover water or milk and leftover flour just in case you need to adjust the tackiness of the dough ball thing. Ask Georgia, she knows baking stuff. And we swirl, and we swirl, and we swirl, and gluey tacky dough ball of mess. Woohoo! Try to get it mixed throughout the mixture. We don't want parts of it being full of flour or other parts being full of butter. So give that a nice thorough scrunching before we start kneading it in the bowl, and then transfer it to a floured chopping board or work surface to then knead a little bit more by hand using the base of our palms to get really stretched out. And my kneading, and my kneading. Speaking about kneading, if you need to speak to someone who knows about a thing or two about baking or life in general, speak to Steve. He's great at that. This is in no way sponsored by Steve. That's just what I'm wanting to tell you. Totally not a sponsorship. And now that it's a nice ball of dough, we're going to do the normal patting down and wrapping up in aluminum foil. We're going to use 2 sheets with the shiny side outside and inside the wrapper. And we're going to wrap this up nice and tight. As you can see, I wasn't wrapping it tight, so it burst afterwards, but make sure it's nice and tight. And then we're going to prepare our campfire space in the fire pit of your choice. Make sure to do it with 2 hands, because that's a lot safer than one-handed, but I had to record it, so that's why you only see one hand. Make sure you're putting the dough ball aluminum foil thing on the coals, and make sure to rotate every now and again. We're wanting to cook this up at campfire temperatures for about 20 to 30 minutes. It depends on how easily cooked it's going to get. So we're just keeping an eye out. Make sure you have something like a knife to prod in when you're checking it to see if it's cooked on the inside. And we're going to just sit here and stare at this immaculate view of a campfire. It smells great. It didn't take the whole day just to get this campfire going. Ooh, my precious. I mean, nothing. And as you can see, it burst out of the wrapper. But it looks like bread, somewhat. I kept rotating it because I didn't know what I was doing, so it may have burst because of that. Make sure to flip it upside down, and here is your completed damper roll. This is half portion of what the recipe called for, but after about 35 minutes it's cooked right through. Here it is broken up. You're going to have a lot of burnt bits, especially if there's an exposed dough flesh, but if you seal it up it should be nice and crusty on the outside and somewhat warm and buttery smelling on the inside. So, Mr. Mustaflis, what do you think about that damper roll? I thought it was really good. It was a bit undercooked, but it was cold and you were stressed for time because the fire took too long to make, but the bread looked like bread. It tasted somewhat like bread, and it did keep for a day or so, so it was pretty good. Definitely something you'd be able to make on the next JPod camp. And remember, if you have any suggestions or questions, feel free to bring it up after the video, and we can see what we can do about answering them or making another video and taking it from there. For any details on the recipe, look below. Otherwise, don't forget to like and subscribe to Steve's hobby job of getting other people to make YouTube videos on stuff that you guys want to see.